Well, hello everyone. Today's video though is a Mandela Effect video, another one. I love Mandela Effects. I think they're so fun and just interesting to think about. There's some that really have me shook and I'm like, oh no, this is totally real. Mandela Effects are real. There's other ones that I'm like, I don't remember it that way. You're probably just misremembering. So who knows, maybe we're all just dumb and can't remember things the right way, or maybe not. I tend to believe that there are some out there that definitely have changed, or certain people were just in another reality, me being included in that. I definitely see both sides of Mandela Effects, but there are definitely some that really leave me shook and I'm like, no, it was definitely the way I remember it and not the way it is. So that's, I don't know, it's just entertaining for me. It's fun. If it's not your jam, it's not your jam, of course, but if it is, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're here for another one. I had a lot of fun doing the last Mandela Effect video, and you guys really seem to like it, so of course I'm back with another one today. But like always, this is always just for fun. There are a lot of them that I remember being the old way and not the way they are now, which is what really interests me about Mandela Effects in general. Like, how can such a large group of people, remember events happening a certain way, remember learning about things in school that supposedly never happened, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, my point in rambling through all of that is to say that we're back with another Mandela Effect video today, and there's a few in here that really have me spooked. So we're just gonna get on into it. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what some Mandela Effects kind of really ring true to you, or if there's specific personal ones that have only happened to you. I've seen a lot of people talk about those, or if they're are large ones that you've seen circulating through the internet, or there's a lot of people that remember it this certain way. Let me know. Let me know what Mandela Effects you like, what ones you want me to talk about. And without any further ado, we're gonna get into the first one. Okay, here we go. So this first Mandela Effect has to do with Curious George. I loved this book series growing up, and I know there was a TV show as well. I vividly remember watching that. Also, my son really liked Curious George 2 years ago, so then I was kind of reintroduced to the world of Curious George, and that's about the time that I noticed and also started to see a lot of people talking about this Mandela Effect, and that is the Mandela Effect that Curious George never had a tail. I definitely fully and vividly remember Curious George having a tail. From my childhood and even from my brothers, who's a little bit younger than me, I remember watching Curious George and just seeing Curious George all the time growing up. I feel like I even remember having a plush doll of Curious George, and he definitely had a tail. I remember him having a tail on the cartoon that would come on the books, on everything. But yeah, supposedly he's never had one. It's not something that the company rebranded or that they redrew Curious George without a tail and that he used to have one. He's apparently never had a tail. Also, this doesn't make any sense because anatomically, monkeys have tails. So confused why they wouldn't have drawn one on him anyway, which makes me believe in this Mandela Effect, specifically this one, more, because I just vividly remember the tail, guys. I remember it, and I know there's a lot of people out there who also remember the tail. So let me know what you remember. That one is just really creepy to me. I fully 100% picturing him right now. Every time he comes up, I have to picture him in my head. I picture him with a tail, but apparently he's never had one. So that's really creepy to me. This next one has to do with The Nightmare Before Christmas. Some of you may have heard this one. It's another popular one, but it has to do with the dog in the show Zero, or the dog in the movie, whose name is Zero. When you guys picture his nose, or just picture the dog, what kind of nose does he have? If you said a glowing red nose, like me, you're completely wrong. Apparently, his nose has always been a glowing orange jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, which I'm like, what? I don't recall that at all. And there was some excuses kind of explaining this Mandela Effect, and those were that, when The Nightmare Before Christmas first came out, it was on VHS, which from a viewing standpoint, it was much lower quality back then, of course, when you're watching a VHS tape on an old TV. So a lot of people, say that they probably thought that the dog's nose was red and glowing because you couldn't see the jack-o'-lantern very clearly on those old VHS tapes and on those older TVs. But I was just watching The Nightmare Before Christmas this past Christmas, again, with my son, and that was the first time I noticed that Zero's nose was like that. I always remember being glowing red, and I know they're anti-Christmas, so I don't really even know why that would have made sense. But that's what I remember, and that's apparently what a lot of people remember. A lot of people remember it being glowing in red and him never having a jack-o'-lantern on his nose at all, or it being orange at all. Like me, many people specifically remember it being red and just being a glowing circle, not a pumpkin. So that one's just very bizarre, and it's another thing where it's not like they went in and like redid the character or remastered it. That's apparently how he's always looked and the nose he's always had, and that one just truly disturbs me to my core, because that's just not what I recall. This next one is a little bit weird, but I do agree with it and remember it this way. It is a spelling one, so it's just a little bit different, but Looney Tunes, okay? Let me tell you the logic behind this. So Looney Tunes, I always thought was, and I'll put a picture on the screen like I always do for these, but Looney like is Looney, and then Tunes I always thought was Toons. I grew up watching Looney Tunes. I like every Saturday, pretty much every morning probably, but I grew up watching the Looney Tunes, and even when I got older and was watching them, I remember like vividly and specifically knowing and understanding that it was Toons, Toons, because they were cartoons. So like it made sense that they were Looney Tunes and the tunes was spelled like cartoons. But apparently it's never been that way. Apparently it's been Looney Tunes, Tunes, which doesn't make sense at all to me. How does that even make sense? Like, they're cartoons. They're not over there. It's not a Looney music. Like a tune would be like a tune to a song. No, they're cartoons. So like, when did this change? Apparently never, but what? I do not remember that. I remember it Toons, vividly always being that way. The thing would come up and it would do the words and the rain, it would like spell it out. And it was always that. And I was a really big speller in school, really into English and spelling, and I like almost won a couple spelling bees and just did different things with competitions like that. And I just always remember thinking that and correlating the two, because they were cartoons. So that's why tunes was spelled differently, was because they were cartoons with two O's, not tunes like a musical thing. So that one truly, I know it's just a spelling thing, and I'm sure people could just be misremembering, including myself, but that one is just so weird for me because I remember the thoughts that I would think about why it was spelled that way, because I was so into spelling. Like, I loved it. I loved English, reading, spelling, grammar, all of it. I still do. Loved all of that stuff, especially in school, and especially around the age when I would have been watching Looney Tunes, like grade school. So making that correlation, like, I didn't just make it up for no reason, and that's what really shakes me about this one, like the Chick-fil-A one, you know, because I would always question how you spelled it, and if it wasn't spelled incorrectly, I would have had no reason to question it, right? So this is kind of the same thing for me. Let me know what you guys remember, especially if you're a bit older and had, you know, watched the Looney Tunes growing up, or maybe into adulthood, or your children watched it. Let me know what you remember. That one like truly disturbs me. Like, I 100% feel like that's a Mandela effect, because there's just no way. It was always Tunes. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, what do you think? Okay, this next one, I want you to picture in your brain, this one like infuriates me. Picture in your brain the Pillsbury Doughboy. Like, just mental image, what does he look like? You have it? Okay. What color is his scarf? You got all his features, his little hat, his eyes. What color is his scarf? If you said blue, you're wrong. And this to me is wrong for so many reasons. What? Like, I vividly remember him having a blue scarf. If you know, were in the time where you would watch 16 commercials between every break of a show, like me, you'll remember those Pillsbury Doughboy commercials that would always come on with the biscuits and whatever, and he was alive in the commercials, the little cartoon doughboy, and he was walking around helping prepare the biscuits and everything else. And I vividly remember his scarf always being blue. It makes no sense why it would be white, because his whole body is white like dough, so why would he have a white scarf as well? I always remember him having a blue scarf, and remembering that because the packaging is also blue. Apparently it has always been white. It's never been blue. And yeah, I just really don't know how I'm gonna sleep at night with this information, because that truly just shakes me to my core, that one. So, like most of these, like, I vividly remember it the other way. So maybe we're all just idiots, but let me know what you think on that one, because I only, even picturing it in my brain right now, I can only picture the blue scarf. I have to like physically Google the Pillsbury Doughboy to see the white scarf and picture that in my head. So I don't know why I would have that strong of a memory if it was never that way, and why, you know, countless other people have the same memory. Okay, this next one, when we're getting into the emoji world of Mandela effects, there's a whole different slew of Mandela effects revolving around emojis that we all thought existed but never existed. Not ones that Apple has taken away necessarily, but ones that we all can remember and that we all thought existed that apparently have never existed. There's quite a few of these. Today, I can talk about more emojis in another video. Today, I'm just going to be talking about the burglar robber emoji. But if you can even have the mental image in your head like me, then you would remember this emoji. You remember the burglar emoji or the robber emoji. Just everything looking like a robber. And people have drawn up sketches of what they remember this emoji looking like, and that is exactly how I remember it looking. Everybody remembers this emoji looking the same way and it being on the iPhone, but evidently there has never been a robber emoji. There's just never been one. People vividly remember this emoji, or even the robber guy like having a sack over his back, and he has a black and white striped shirt on and black pants, and I think also the hat in that one as well, but he's holding the sack over his back like he's running away from something. But then there's also just the one of his face and a little bit of his chest that shows like from here up like the, you know, people emojis look. There's two different versions of the robber emoji that people remember. And I myself also remember them. Like if I just tell you to go look up the robber emoji in your phone right now, if you've never thought twice about it, you would probably remember, get the mental image, remember what it looks like and go to look it up. But you're not gonna find anything because it never existed. It was never on Apple's like emoji doc list and they took it away. Nothing. It just never existed. It's never been a thing. It's just an emoji that we all remember looking the same exact way in our head, even though it never existed. But the fact that, like, how would we all have made that up in our brains? How would we all have remembered the same exact emoji, the same exact character, looking the same exact way, being dressed the same exact way? People are drawing up sketches and being like, yes, that was it, if it never existed. The last Mandela effect I'm going to be talking about in this video also has to do with Chick-fil-A, but it's obviously not the super popular spelling one that we talked about in the last video. This one actually has to do with the Eat More Chicken logo that, or I guess quote, phrase, branding, whatever, that Chick-fil-A does with the cows, right? How the cows hold up the Eat More Chicken signs. And before I show any pictures, when you think of that sign and kind of it being like, it's, you know, supposed to look like chicken scratch, it's really sloppy writing. And obviously the cows are holding it up so that you eat the chicken, not the cows. Anyway, when you picture that, what letters do you picture backwards? A lot of people remember the R and R being backward, or the R and more being backwards, the K and chicken being backwards. Obviously also this Eat More Chicken like phrase is spelled incorrectly. I think there's an E off of the more. Maybe a C is missing from the chicken. I can't remember exactly, but it's obviously supposed to play off of chicken scratch and it just not being written correctly. But a lot of people remember because of that some of the letters are backwards. But in reality, when you look at the sign, apparently none of the letters are backwards and never have been. The K was never backwards, the R was never backwards like most people remember. The only thing that's incorrect about it is that the more and the chicken is spelled wrong, I believe. But the actual letters are all turned around the correct way. Now, I vividly remember this being backwards because obviously it was a play on like the unintelligence of a cow that would be writing this. Like, you know what I mean? And it just being in such poor handwriting and so sloppy and already spelled wrong, I instantly am taken back and remember the backwards letters in it being a part of that whole bit as well. A part of the whole play on it's, you know, written poorly, it's spelled incorrectly, but apparently that's never been a thing. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, I remember the K being backwards specifically. I don't really remember anything about the R or not. But I'm not saying that that's not how some people remember it. I just specifically remember the K and chicken being backwards. I used to have this little stuffed cow that had the sign on it. I don't know why I have that. I just did. But it had, oh, I think I got it at a work thing one time. I never worked for Chick-fil-A, but another company that I worked for catered it one time, and I think they sent some of those. Anyway, none of that matters. But the cow stuffed animal that I had that sign over it, and it sat in my car for forever, and I remember it having the K backwards, but apparently it's never been that way. So that one's so weird, but it is just like a little letter thing. So let me know what you guys remember there. And that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed these Mandela effects. I hope they got your gears turning in your brain a little bit like they always do for me and really make me kind of question things and take a look at my own reality because something seems a little off, and apparently it is for a lot of other people's realities too. So anyway, let me know what you thought of these Mandela effects. Do you remember them this way, or do you remember them the way they are now? And let me know what Mandela effects freak you out. I got some really nice feedback on my last Mandela effect video, and some of the ones you guys mentioned I have written down and I'll be discussing in future videos. So thank you so much for those. But I really hope you guys like this video. Give me your thoughts and opinions on Mandela effects and what you think and what you remember in the comments below. As always, let me know what you want me to talk about next, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!